From the heartland of America and coast to coast, this is EM Student with Professor Dan Scott.
Deep inside of you is more strength than you've ever known. Zig Ziglar. Good morning, I'm Dan Scott, and welcome to EM Student. Today we have a little bit of a new beginnings episode. We have a welcome, I should say, to a new co-host to EM Student. We're going to welcome an actual EM student. She is a student of EM. She's went down the path of one degree, got that degree, and said, you know what, I'd like to look at emergency management also, and has kind of transitioned a little bit towards the EM realm. So I'd like everybody to help me welcome I want to mess her name up because now it's live. Franziska Economy.
Hi, Dan. Thanks.
Hi.
Excited.
And I said that right, even though we call you Franzi.
Yeah.
It's Franziska Economy, correct?
Yeah.
And the name is amazing. The name is amazing. I know you've heard that multiple times. Todd DeVoe loves her name, although he was on here just a few minutes ago and he chickened out. He didn't want to come on live. But Franzi Economy is so let's get to know Franzi for a minute. So Franzi, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I as you mentioned, definitely a lot of people love my degree is actually in economics, so that's I think extra why people love my name. But so that's where I kind of started, and then my career's been in lots of different things. I worked in statistics for a while, accounting, worked in social media, and more lately in kind of digital TV and ad tech. So definitely things that are really different from emergency management, but last year, I think, and for a while, I've been kind of trying to think about, what I might want my career to be moving forward, and just heard about emergency management, decided to check it out. I signed up for a class last semester and really enjoyed it. I think one of the things I liked the most about it were the other people in my class, and it just was really great conversations. It's really interesting, and I think I just really want to find something where I'm going to have a positive impact on people, and I can't think of anything more important than trying to work and help people on a day that might be like the worst day of their life, or or something that's just really horrible, and being able to be there and help it make it not so bad. So that's
the emergency management profession in general is it's about service. It's about serving others and doing just what you said, but you nailed it as far as being able to get into a classroom and really enjoy the other people. Any emergency manager worth anything in their job knows how to network, does it well, and is willing to go out of their way to help a fellow emergency manager and the community in which they serve. So tell me, what kind of line of thinking are you right now as far as where you might want to apply emergency management in what you do?
Yeah, so that's actually been a kind of big topic that I've been thinking about recently. I think part of that is actually, being so new to the field, I didn't actually even know all of the different options that were available. In my head, it was, I think probably what a lot of people that aren't familiar with emergency management think about, in that, I just think about that, like when a hurricane comes through, going out there and being able to help people. But as I'm learning more and more and talking to lots of different people, obviously realizing that there's so many different levels, obviously from local to state to federal, but then also just different areas, kind of different jobs of what people do within that structure, of being able to even on, being deployed and during a response, but then, also obviously learning about much more about the different phases and things like that. So I'm definitely interested in kind of, getting my hands dirty, so to speak, and getting that experience kind of on the ground and really working with people and seeing how that works. I am really also interested in looking at, I think it's really interesting how economics does intersect with a lot of different fields, just because in my opinion, you kind of always have to a little bit think about the economics side of things. And especially when it comes to emergency management, trying to figure out how to, give out a finite number of resources. That essentially is what economics is. And so, figuring out how that applies and kind of looking at it from that lens is definitely one thing that I am looking at, because obviously it, kind of overlaps with what my background is and what I'm interested in, as well as taking a look at kind of the, topics and themes of emergency management.
Yeah, that would definitely be a niche in emergency management. Is disaster economics is that would be, it's a huge niche. It's not the most sought after, but economics in general. I'm actually taking my next class is in economics, and not necessarily the most excited about that class, but I have a basic understanding to get me through. I'm looking forward to what the class is going to bring, and now I have you to tutor me through that class. Which is even better as I work through this. My specific one is going to be economics and public policy, but economics, just like emergency management, can apply to so many different things. And as a student, as myself, I encourage others to make your education as diverse as you want it to be within the how you want to apply it. It doesn't necessarily need to be in emergency management. Do you see yourself looking for an advanced degree in emergency management?
I think so. I'm not closing any doors right now. I think I'm really just trying to look at kind of all different aspects of where I could go with it. And yeah, I definitely think again, it depends kind of on what in what area I go into, and if it would be helpful. Because I'm a big fan. I sign up for classes all the time. I'm always kind of constantly learning. And so, but at the same time, a higher degree is obviously a big investment. And so I want to make sure that, it would be kind of necessary to help me do my job, or, it would always be helpful. But so yeah, definitely looking into that, and we'll be kind of, I'm sure, looking to you for guidance on that. Happy to trade you some knowledge in the economic space.
Well, it's not absolutely necessary. It all depends on where you want to go. But, ultimately the continued effort to learn, to continue to take courses, lifelong learning is what I push on the show. And I know one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on as well is because you continue to seek out different things, take classes, look at continue to for the self-development aspect of things, and being a lifelong learner is very important. And I think it's extremely important when it comes to the emergency management aspect of the profession, because things change. Things are ultimately never going to be the same. They continue to change, evolve, with emergency management still being in its infancy, there's going to be a continued, the way we apply what we know, but also how we apply the change that needs to take place in emergency management. Emergency management is on the tipping point of change, but it's also on the tipping point of the spotlight. And the profession itself is, like I said, it's in its infancy, but it's on the verge of being even more bigger than it was. And those who are in the field right now are going to be entering the field, are going to be coming in at a prime time to be an emergency management professional, but also are going to be able to influence and change in a positive direction versus where we've been in the past 50 years. So you're in a prime spot for that, whether you go for an advanced degree or not. And I tell everyone who listens to the show the same. You don't necessarily have to go for an advanced degree to be an emergency manager, and you don't have to have a degree in emergency management to be an emergency manager. So I welcome your background to the show. I welcome the fact that you're a student, which is going to aid those who are listening to the show. So let me transition the show to this. As a student, what do you feel is going to be the best aspect moving forward to that we could then give information to our listeners?
You mean of the show and how we're going to do it? I think that's a good question. I think as you kind of mentioned, I'm definitely, hope to be, a little bit potentially of a proxy or a voice for a lot of the students that are out there, both obviously people that are new to emergency management, but obviously, like you mentioned, lots of people that are already in the field and looking to learn more. I think one thing I've kind of noticed is there are so many resources out there, and that's really exciting. And I think, I'm trying to sign up for lots of different volunteer things, and there's tons of certifications. And like you said, there's advanced degrees or just other, kind of trainings you can do. And so I think one thing that I would love to do, and what I've been working on for myself even, is, collecting all those different, resources into one spot and really be able to, be a hub for people who want to come and learn. And so, I'd love to be able to help organize that for people and help kind of navigate, as you're trying to get your feet wet. Here's an experience that will really help you learn, how an EOC works, or here's something that will just, here's a book that will give you insight into how FEMA was created, or, different things like that, and help it, help so people can tailor their own education, because I think it is, there are so many different things to learn within emergency management. And so, trying to help guide people on that, or help them be able to guide themselves, really. And then obviously another big part that I'm really excited to be on the show about is something that I've been doing actually for, since I was in high school, actually, is doing lots of informational interviews. And so I'm, just basically being able to question people about, their jobs and how they approach them and their philosophies and their path and all that kind of thing. So I'm really excited to have, when we have guests on, to be able to ask them questions and kind of just learn about not only what they do now, but how they got there. Any tips or advice that they could give for people that are in the space and trying to learn and grow, and all that kind of thing. So I just love talking to people who know lots of things. And so definitely excited to be talking to the people that we have on the show as well.
Yeah, I have to say that is one of the best parts about being having this platform, being able to question people, learn from them. As I said in a previous episode, but I've been doing a lot of reading and studying of for those who, Tony Robbins, and one of his big phrases is turn decades into days. Learn from others' experiences, learn from how they did it, learn why they did it, and you learn from them so you can apply it now, so you don't have to go through the decades before you learn it. So being able to learn from others on the show is an amazing aspect of what we do in our platform. But as I want to go back, and this wasn't planned, but I want to go back. It's a perfect leeway into the Crisis Cafe, which has been recently developed by myself and Todd DeVoe and Sitch Radio, where it's a platform that you go on to. It's a social media platform designed for emergency managers to interact with each other, learn from each other, engage each other, find those resources, look at those books, get some general training, go through a book club. These are places where you can go. So look for Crisis Cafe. If you want an invitation, please email us. We'll give you an invitation to that platform. Yeah, there's different tiers of that. It's a free platform, but there are some paid tiers as well. Crisis Cafe is a place where you could, as emergency manager, a place we are developing for just what you said, for that engagement, for the learning, for the gathering of resources. It looks like we have some comments right now, which is amazing. So can we pull those up and we can read them? So how can the study of economics help with community resilience? It's a great question.
I think the way I see it, what I keep hearing a lot and what's come up in some of my classes is this whole idea about how, I forget the exact, but I think it's like $1 of mitigation can help alleviate $7 of recovery. And so I think, that's just like one example of a way that by using, to me, math and data and statistics sounds really dry, and a lot of people shy away from it. But I think if you can combine that with really good data visualization, and you can convey that data with with a lot of really good context and help be able to advise and direct people, just to make some good decisions for the entire community. That is one way that I would think about that. And like I said, I kind of mentioned before, economics really is the study of how you distribute finite resources. And that's actually something I've been thinking a lot about too, in emergency management, because we'll never be able to be fully and to the best prepared for every single disaster that will ever happen. I don't think that that's ever something that, we'll probably ever get to. But I think it's about figuring out and doing analysis on which are the ones that are most likely to happen, which are the things that we can do to help mitigate that. And so, and working with the community, obviously, and to be able to put some of those things in place to be able to best protect the community we can, with the resources that we do have. So, that's a really good question. I've actually been pondering that myself.
Well, it's a great question, and it's one that needs to be asked more, especially right now. So with the emergency management growth initiative, we literally just had a dinner discussing this very topic about reframing the phases of emergency management, with more emphasis going on mitigation. And it's one of those aspects people don't want to do, because it does take a lot of statistics. It's proven to somebody that if they spend more money now, they won't spend it later. It's hard to do when it's to convince somebody, well, if you give me this much money and we do this XYZ, that down the line I can justify what didn't happen, or what happened, it didn't cost as much money, versus something happens and we throw all this money at it, but we never fully recover from it because we don't really implement mitigation. And economics is a great way to apply mitigation, and especially when it comes to statistics and data and proving why it's important, how it can benefit, and ultimately why it can influence the community. We have a question from the California Emergency Services Association. So it says, what advice can you give the people that are on the fence about taking an emergency management degree or starting a degree? That's for you, Franzi.
Yeah, no, I'd love to. I mean, my advice would be like kind of as I mentioned before, I think doing a full emergency management degree that's obviously a big commitment, especially if you've already, done your, a degree you're talking about an advanced degree, or even someone that is, in high school and looking to do a bachelor's. My best advice, and for, like I said, also my career has been lots of different things. And when I'm trying to think about different things, I try to just jump in and just do a smaller thing. So that's what I did last semester. I wasn't, last fall I started looking into emergency management. It sounded really interesting and it sounded like, I'd really like it, but I didn't know. So I signed up for one class as part of a certificate program. And I found, and then I really liked it. So now I'm signed up for another class this semester, and I'm looking into volunteering with my local CERT team and with Team Rubicon. And it's one of those things where I'm going to just keep going and just taking a few more steps forward, talking to people. And then, if something happens and I, find out and I'm like, oh no, this isn't for me, then I can pivot and do something different. But I think for me is to start small. And to start building on that. So maybe a first step is even smaller than signing up for a class is, finding an emergency manager and talking to them. Like I said, do an informational interview, find out, what their day is like, what their job is like, and is that something that would fit with what you'd be interested in, and things like that. And that starts you on a path. And then once you find yourself being more and more interested, then you can find more resources and kind of build that way, and then potentially build up to that degree. And I think that would be really helpful if you do decide to go into emergency management, but I would say start small.
Great advice. And, for my 2 cents is that it really does depend on, well, where they are in their, not only in their career, but their mindset. If they're coming right out of high school, they may not know one way or from the other where they want to go, period. And but if they're in the midst of a career, do they need it for advancement? Do they need it just to specialize in a specific subject because they're working on a project? Do they need it for accreditation? Do they need would a credential do, or do they need a full-fledged degree? Does it need to be a bachelor's degree? Would an associate do? A lot of things vary. Would a credential do, like a certified emergency management certificate? These things all matter as far as the mindset and the way it gets applied. But it matters too as far as like how established that person is in their career. If they're going right into it, they may want to take a few classes. North Dakota State University is one of the best examples I can give, and it's one of the best reasons I can give as far as why practitioners in higher ed need to team up together more, is because they have so many minors. It doesn't matter what degree you're going for, they have minors of emergency management that someone can go. If they're going to be a lawyer, or a doctor, or an economic professional, there's minors in emergency management. So everybody going out into the field and to do what they do has an understanding of emergency management, how it's applied, how they can best apply that towards the jurisdiction of the company, the organization in which they're going to represent, but also the community in which that represents. So there's so much to it, and that's one of the reasons why EM student, I want to push it, and I want to push Franzi moving forward as the EM student to ultimately influence how we do things, but also influence policy, influence the direction of which EM goes. An emergency management degree is a great thing. It's not necessarily right for everybody, even if they are going to do emergency management for their career. So I want to wrap this up by saying, just welcome to the team. Thank you for, number one, for being willing to come on and share with us your experience, share with us your inexperience as well, and how we can help build that up for you, but also build it up for others. As we leave, I just want to say, give you a chance to just say whatever you want as far as the welcome goes, and then I'll close out the show.
Awesome. I mean, yeah, I just want to say, obviously I'm equally as excited to be here. So thank you very much for having me. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to future episodes.
All right. So thank you very much. I look forward to the journey that we're going to take together. as before I close out, I just want to remind everybody, you can find us on LinkedIn, EM Student, EM Weekly, Sitch Radio. Go on there, follow us, so you'll get to any of the information we're putting out. You get to see links to the Crisis Cafe. Email us, Daniel at EM Weekly, Todd at EM Weekly, so we can forward that to you. If you have comments, if you have directions that you would like to see the show take, special subjects you'd like us to talk about, go on our website. Also, brand new Clubhouse. If you are on Clubhouse, follow myself, follow Todd, follow Brian from Sitch Radio, so that we could, whenever we go live in a room, you guys see that. We're gonna actually create our own rooms very shortly. So Clubhouse, brand new, a brand new app that is actually quite amazing. That I'm not getting anything for saying this. I just find it to be an amazing show, or an app that be able to listen to others, be able to listen to us as we develop these other things. Follow us. We are doing our don't forget our webinar tomorrow. If you haven't signed up already, go ahead and do that. That'd be great for you. But I want to leave you with this. When you feel like quitting, think about why you started. Zig Ziglar. I'm Dan Scott, and I'll talk to you soon.